On today's DNVR Broncos show, we're breaking down the Colts. I've got a quarterback comparison for Anthony Richardson that I want to bounce off the guys. Plus, how do the Broncos offense beat the Colts defense? We've got our guy Brian Baldinger joining us today to break down how the Broncos beat the Colts and what the Broncos record will be in the final 4 games of the season. And it all starts now. Hump Day on the DNVR Broncos Podcast. You know what Hump Day means, fellas?
No. I can never remember what it means.
We get over the hump, right?
I mean, yeah. But on the DNVR Broncos Podcast, it means we got our guy Brian Baldinger joining us at 10:30, just a couple minutes away. And want to welcome you into the DNVR Broncos Podcast. We got Super Bowl 50 champ Todd Davis, Henry Chisholm. You hear is back, and he's rocking some pretty cool Broncos gear. You hear Todd showed his hat yesterday. You're going to have to show your hat today at some point in the show. Not just to us, to the listeners, of course. And yours truly, Zach Stevens, rocking and rolling with you live from the Toyota Lounge inside the DNVR bar. And, of course, here's Broncos hat is inside the Toyota Lounge. And, of course, driven by your local Front Range Toyota stores. And we're presented by Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. Pretty seamless morning, right, guys?
Been great. How's yours?
No spills, no nothing.
2 U-Hauls ran into each other on the way here.
Dang.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Somebody's furniture got crushed.
Yeah. I'd imagine they must have been traveling together because they had just pulled over when I got there, but because it can't just be 2 random U-Hauls that hit each other.
Well, there were 2 buses that almost hit each other in front of the bar. Yeah,
wow. Like
one of the extendo buses.
Oh, with the flexible middle?
And then just a normal bus. So maybe there's just something with big cars on the road today.
Maybe. Thoughts, Todd?
I have none. I didn't see anything crash into anything this morning, so.
So we got our guy Brian Baldinger joining us today. But guys, before we talk to Baldy, I want to break down this Colts offense and this Colts defense. And let's start by talking about their quarterback, because boy, Anthony Richardson is a different type of quarterback. And when I was trying to figure out who this guy is he good? Is he a threat? Should the Broncos dominate him? Looking at some of the things he does, looking at his stats, a quarterback popped into my mind for a comparison, and I want to see what you guys think of it. I think Anthony Richardson is a more talented, a bigger, but also doesn't have the magic, Tim Tebow. I think that's the quarterback that Anthony Richardson is. What do you think of that?
He has a quicker release. When you think about Tebow, you think about the big windmill thing he did. But, I mean, for both of them, the big thing is the accuracy. I don't know. I didn't really watch Tebow critically. I was like 15 and just was really enjoying it. But no, I would say the big thing is the accuracy, so that's the same. I mean, there's some magic. He has 3 game-winning drives this year. But obviously,
it's
Tebow's
not
a
Tebow
different
magic.
level.
Yeah, exactly. Todd, what do you think of that?
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it fits to me.
Okay.
It feels a little forced.
Feels a little forced? Okay. Well, neither of these guys complete 50% of their passes, which is absolutely unheard of in the NFL to be a starting quarterback. Neither of these guys did their team rely on them throwing the ball to have success. Anthony Richardson, Tim Tebow threw for 123 yards per game during the magical run, which is just insanely low. Anthony Richardson, guys, is at 167 yards per game, a little more than Tebow, but that is still so low. And then one of the things that Henry points to, when Anthony Richardson does complete a pass, he has the longest yards per completion in the NFL. Tim Tebow was right up there in his year when he played with the Broncos too. He's only like half a yard off of what Anthony Richardson is at. So the yards per completion, it doesn't scare me as much when I view it that way. Anthony Richardson is a guy that is still very much developing here. And when you look at Tim Tebow, and I love Tim Tebow, I think that was the funnest season that I've had watching the Broncos. That includes the Super Bowl years. I think that Tim Tebow season was so incredibly fun. I love Tim Tebow. But the Broncos moved on from Tim Tebow despite an incredible playoff run in season as fast as they could. And, of course, they got Peyton Manning, which helps. So there was a reason for that. Anthony Richardson, man, he's got the size, the arm. He can run, which we'll talk about. But this is a guy that if he shreds this Broncos defense this week, then we've got a problem because it's Jameis Winston, Anthony Richardson back-to-back weeks. But I'm saying all of this because he's not going to. He is not going to shred this Broncos defense. This is a guy that turns the ball over more than he scores. This is a guy that was benched for Joe Flacco. And then Joe Flacco was so bad that they went back to Anthony Richardson. And like I said, he doesn't complete 50% of his passes. This year, he's at 47.4% completion. The Broncos are going to lock Anthony Richardson down through the air.
I agree with that. I think if he finds a way to win this game, it's because he's done something on the ground that's spectacular. He's a young quarterback and just hasn't figured it out. And when you start off he had a good, little bit of games last year. Maybe they had sophomore slump is what they call it.
Yeah.
It's a pretty hard slump.
Yeah.
The team is, finding ways to win a couple games, so they're not horrible, but at the same time, they don't feel like they're building anything. I mean, when you start benching your quarterback for your backup and, whatever that was where he took himself out of the game, just doesn't feel like it's trending in the right direction, even though they felt like they kind of picked up steam the last 2 weeks.
Todd, they mishandled his development so poorly. What did they expect? A guy to come in who I think he started 13 games in college. 13 total games in college. How many did Bo Nix start? 61? And they expected Anthony Richardson to come in and not have a learning curve? No, you drafted him because he's so talented. 6'5", he can run. He's got a cannon for an arm. And they thought, oh, man, after 1 year it's not working, let's bench him? What? I mean, that is not how to do it.
I mean, that's what the Panthers did. And now Bryce Young is playing the best football of his career, So I think...
they're
just different situations. Oh, definitely. But when things aren't going well... You've got to do something, and especially for a team that at that point felt like they were pretty good and had seen what Flacco did. I mean, I think that letting Flacco go in there and throw a bunch of interceptions and look terrible kind of took the heat off Richardson a little bit because it didn't feel like the Colts locker room is no longer going to be saying why are we going with the guy who can't complete a pass when we have a veteran right here?
He needed Flacco to go in there and do poorly to help his confidence and the team's confidence.
It's easy to rally around Anthony Richardson when you see the other guy play as badly as Joe did.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, okay, that I guess just kind of fits into my argument. That's how bad the quarterback position is for the Colts right now. And you look, since he's come back from being benched, he's also playing the best football of his career. And that's not saying too much right now. Through the air, he has 4 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions in the past 5 games since coming back from being benched. Guys, he also has 6 fumbles. So Anthony Richardson has 6 fumbles, 3 interceptions. That's 9 turnovers compared to 4 touchdowns through the air. I'm sure there's a couple rushing too. But he has more turnovers than touchdowns in the best part of his career so far. Again, if I'm the Colts, thank you here. If I'm the Colts, I'm not giving up on him. But for a Broncos team that has a great defense, this should be a game the Broncos look forward to in terms of the Broncos defense going up against him, because Nick Bonito should be able to get a strip sack in this game. Pat Surtain should be able to get an interception, maybe a pick 6 in this game. This should be a game where the Broncos guys really make their case for Defensive Player of the Year, where Vance Joseph really makes his case to be a head coach after this season. Because, man, Now, I guess if they get it done on the ground, that's where this conversation turns to now. That's why everything to me about this game is shutting down the ground game, because there's a massive problem with the Broncos defense if they let Anthony Richardson go crazy through the air. And since he's been back as their starting quarterback, 5 games, one time has he thrown for more than 50% completion. In 5 games, that is so bad. And this Broncos defense is great, so I don't expect that to be an issue. Where it would become an issue is if you let Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson get loose on the ground, because Anthony Richardson can run the ball.
No, he really can. They have, a talented running back, a talented quarterback when you talk about, on the ground. I think this is a very simple game for the Broncos. They have some big, tall, receivers, but ultimately it's about stopping the run. As long as Riley Moss, I don't know if he's going to play. He's probably not going to play.
We'll find out more today.
Yeah, so I think we have to stop the run first and foremost, and then I think we'll have this game won.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say I'm not nervous, but if this is the team that we're competing with for a playoff spot, and you look at their quarterback, like we know it's a quarterback-driven league, like we have to find a way to win this game. And that's why it's a must-win, but we don't have to talk about that. But it should be, again, the Broncos win, and it shouldn't be close.
Yeah. I think the other piece is I would love to see him just leave some safeties deep, or even let the corners just kind of play over the top, because he overthrows so many passes. Like, I just went through and looked at all of his interceptions yesterday just out of curiosity, and he just sails them. And like, you can't do that in the NFL, because those are the ones that get picked off. So I think you should be getting turnovers. I'm curious if they can get, like, what the strategy is for rushing him. Because you might just want to contain him, especially because he's pretty good at sensing things in the pocket and escaping or stepping up or making something happen. But yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be. The Broncos should absolutely win this game.
Yeah, 100%. And there's maybe some good news about Jonathan Taylor, because everyone knows, I mean, when he's at his peak, he is really, really good. Maybe one of the best in the NFL. Well, definitely the best in the NFL. Let's talk about how to stop that. But before we do that, want to give a shout out to our friends over at Verizon. Guys, we are 14 days away from Christmas, and Verizon is in the Christmas giving mood, because they're going to give you a $200 Verizon e-gift card when you switch and purchase a select phone on select unlimited plans. Start the holiday off right by getting a great network, and use that gift card to start checking out other great gifts off your checklist, like tech with smartwatches, tablets, headphones, and much more with that $200 gift card. And be on the lookout very soon for a ticket giveaway to a Denver Broncos game, courtesy of Verizon this holiday season. So check out Verizon to get Broncos tickets potentially, and also get a $200 e-gift card. Switch now and get that $200 gift card only at Verizon. $200 Verizon e-gift card sent within 8 weeks. Requires device payment purchase. Minimum retail of $799.99, and poured in with new smartphone line on postpaid Unlimited Plus or Unlimited Ultimate plan required.
And go get yourself a Toyota. I feel like, I don't know if there's anything special about Verizon and Toyota together, but it does feel like America. Even though now I think that Toyota is a Japanese company. Still, Toyota is awesome. I'm a big fan. They've got all sorts of different cars, especially yesterday. The roads were a little bit icy. There was one stretch. So I was like 500 feet behind like the car in front of me. I was like, okay, time to slow down. Just slid. And I stopped with plenty of space, but while I was sliding, I was like, it feels like I could just keep going forever. But worked out. And if you have a car that's meant for those situations, the Land Cruiser, all the different hybrid vehicles, Toyota can get you set up for those situations, because there are a lot of there's trails and all that sort of stuff in Colorado too. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores, a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL, the official vehicle of DNVR.
And shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. So the good news about Jonathan Taylor, he's having a pretty darn good season this year. Over 800 rushing yards. He has 4 100-yard rushing games, but he does not have a 100-yard rushing game in the past 3 games. In fact, in the past 3 games, he's slowed down. 3.8 yards per carry, 3.2 yards per carry, 2.4 yards per carry. And I think a big reason for this is teams have said, okay, we know Anthony Richardson's a quarterback now, and we know that he is not going to beat us through the air. So we're just going to do everything to stop the quarterback running the ball and Jonathan Taylor running the ball. They've really keyed in on that. And Todd, I have to imagine when the threat of a pass is so low, that makes it so much easier for a game plan going into the game, and then also the players to just really be able to stop a running game.
Yeah, you make this team one-dimensional. I mean, you load the box, you put 8 in the box, and then put everybody else in man-to-man coverage. And you just make it easy on yourself. You call a lot of blitzes to stop the run, and if Anthony Richardson finds a way to beat you with his arms, I think you live with it. I mean, even great defenses can't stop everything, but you live with certain things. And I feel like Anthony Richardson having 250 yards in the game, like if he does that, okay, you guys won. He found a way to be good today. But as for the season, he hasn't shown that he can win games that way. So I think we put the pressure on him.
Yeah,
see what he can do.
Exactly. Since he's been back, the 5 games he's been back from being benched, he's thrown for over 175 yards once. And now he went for 272 against the Jets, but every other game has been under 170. Exactly.
It's
every
not
other
even like a game.
No, every other game has been under 175 yards. So, like, I totally agree. You got problems if you get beat by him through the air. On the ground, I mentioned Jonathan Taylor has been good this year. Since Anthony Richardson's been back, they've really relied on his legs, averaging over 50 rushing yards per game from the quarterback position. That's how they're moving the ball downfield, is just simply on the ground between these two.
I did just have like a vision of if Anthony Richardson plays well and the Colts win. This podcast is getting clipped by some Colts podcast, and all these things are going to wind up on Twitter next week, and I'm really hoping that doesn't happen.
I mean,
I don't care. Clip us.
Yeah. Okay.
Please do. You can save this, bookmark it, whatever you do.
Yeah, whatever you need to do.
Because this is a Broncos team that
They should win.
Should win. Will make the playoffs. And you know what? It's if you drop these games, just like if you dropped the Patriots game last year, this Colts are better than those Patriots. But this Colts team is 2 games back of the Broncos right now. If you want to make a playoff push, you got to beat the teams that aren't in the playoff picture, and then maybe steal 1 or 2 from teams that are in the playoff picture. So, yeah, I'm not scared about that.
No. Yeah, and I mean, you shouldn't be scared of the Colts. I mean, their offensive line is hurt too. Like, it wasn't very good before it was hurt, but if they're missing 3 guys this week, like, that's why they just really can't get anything going on the ground. Like, I know the total numbers are fine, but it's Jonathan Taylor with 4.3 yards per carry.
Yeah.
You would think it'd be a lot more.
And really quick, it was just announced they're going to be without their right tackle this week as well.
Okay. So Blake Freeland will probably start. But they also, they're last in the NFL in receptions from their tight ends and yards per game from their tight ends, which I guess everybody's played the same number of games now. So
Broncos number 2?
Probably. But I mean, they just have those big, fast receivers, and they're going to chuck it downfield a bunch, and you really should be fine against them.
Yeah. Keep everything in front of you when it comes to the pass game. Anthony Richardson's going to complete a couple. And you know what? I think you can allow a couple big ones in this game. You don't need to, because you just keep everything in front of you and make Anthony Richardson dink and dunk his way down, because chances are he's not going to do that when he's throwing for literally 30% completion, which he did just a couple of games ago. 31% completion 2 games ago, 39% completion.
That's horrible.
It's insane.
Yep.
Since he's been back in the 5 games, 4 of the games he's had less than a 42% completion percentage. Insane. Like, that is why just keep everything in front of you. If you allow one big play, that's fine, because they're probably not going to be putting long, sustained drives together. But that's the game plan if I'm Vance Joseph. You got to beat me through the air, through long, sustained drives. And you know what? If somehow Anthony Richardson does that, well, 1, a lot of concern for the Broncos defense then. But 2, it's not going to happen.
Not at all. Not at all. Like you say, you pay everything top down is just tackle to catch. Don't let them get any yak or extra yards after they catch the ball. You just got to make it very simple, very vanilla, and don't get beat over the top. And, you know, outside of last week, the Broncos haven't been beat over the top much. So I don't even think that's a concern for them. You know, they'll get the corner spot figured out. on the other side of Pat Surtain, and they'll be good, man. The Colts are the Colts, and they don't have a chance of beating us.
And how weird is this? Because especially with mentioning like the yards per completion is the highest in the NFL, in the past 3 games, Anthony Richardson doesn't have a completion for 40 or more yards. So he might be getting 20, 30, but he's not going for 50-yard touchdowns like you would kind of expect with him. Well, he won't complete them, though. Yeah, so go for him, please. I would love that because he's not completing them in the past 3 games. And again, this Broncos defense, I'm going to say that Browns game was just a one-off. Everyone has bad games, and I'm going to say that was a one-off. Vance Joseph and crew are going to figure it out a lot better for this game, and this Broncos defense is going to look a lot better. Let's flip over to the Colts defense. What's the key for the Broncos? And Todd, you really broke this down in the Inside Scoop yesterday. What's the key for the Broncos, Henry, to feast off this Colts defense?
Really, you just got to play your own game. I think I don't look at that defense as one that has like weaknesses or anything. Maybe don't have the best cornerbacks, but like you still have Kenny Moore in there. The safeties are good. Like they're big up front. They're strong, but there's really nothing all that notable, I don't think, about the Colts defense. So yeah, I think you just do your normal stuff. Run the ball, run play action off of that. If you get behind the sticks, then you can go empty and Bo can handle that, pick a matchup. Like if there's ever a game where your running backs or tight ends could get involved, you would think these linebackers might be beatable, but yeah, I don't think you have to stray too much from your normal offense.
Yeah, and if Sean Payton wants to try to get the running game established and pick up on what they did in the second half against the Browns last week, this is the game to do it. The Colts defense overall, pretty mid. Their pass defense is average, but their run defense is not very good. I believe they've given up the 3rd most rushing yards, the 3rd worst yards per carry against them. So, man, if you want to try to wake up this running game before the playoffs come around, now's the week to do it. It's probably not against the Chargers. That's going to be a more difficult
Bengals,
one.
though.
Bengals, yes. And then Chiefs if they're playing their guys. So you have some easy games, some hard games in terms of what the Broncos offense is going to be facing. But this Colts defense is fine. But in the past, they haven't allowed less than 20 points per game since week 7. We're entering, week 15 right now? So this is a game where, man, the defense should really have a bounce-back game against this Indianapolis Colts offense. And this offense really hasn't been slowed down recently, and they should not be slowed down against this Colts defense at all. They do have a couple of significant names. It's going to be interesting and exciting to see DeForest Buckner go against the Broncos interior offensive line, maybe one of the best interior offensive lines that DeForest Buckner's had to play. He's a talented guy. They've got Kwity Paye and rookie Latu. He's really good too. So they have some talented guys there, but I don't think it's anything that. And Ivan asked, has Latu been good? Yeah, he has been good. I think the Colts are pleased with their selection, but no all worlds out there that you really have to worry about destroying the game. And when there are those good players, how did Myles Garrett do against the Broncos?
Not good.
How did Max Crosby do against the Broncos?
Which
good
time?
the first time, bad second time.
The second time, yeah. So the Broncos have been very good at neutralizing great players, especially on the front 7.
Yeah, I think this is, like I said on the defensive side of the ball, just keep it simple, keep it vanilla. When they give you opportunities to run the ball, you take them. When they load the box and give you opportunities to pass the ball, you pass the ball. Just take what the defense gives you, and then don't get behind the chains. Don't have stupid penalties. Don't have mental mistakes and errors. Just play simple. Have a simple game plan. You don't have to go for the gusto that puts you in bad positions. Now it's 3rd and 10, and now you got to find a miraculous play to get a first down. Keep it simple. 1st and 10, 2nd and 5, 3rd and 2. Let's just move the ball down the field, and I think we'll get a win.
So what you're saying is these quarterbacks should have completely opposite completion percentages.
Well, they're going to. That's just
yeah. But especially with the way the game plan sets up,
yes.
Anthony Richardson might literally have half the completion percentage of Bo. I wouldn't be shocked if Bo goes out and throws 75%. That's not even that high of a bar for what he does. And then Anthony Richardson goes out and throws for 37.5% completion. That would be wild, but it's very much in the realm of possibility.
Yeah, it might happen. You might have to bet on that.
Every one of these, I just hear them as like a clip on Twitter making fun of us.
The Colts suck. Clip that.
I know. Oh, God.
Henry, I understand, and it's just because, like, I mean, tell me how this is going to go wrong. Because
You've been
clearly,
nervous. He's been nervous all year.
Yeah, it's true.
Every time we bring up a conversation about us being good, about us making the playoffs, about us trusting the Broncos, about whether we're going to lose to the Colts or not, you've been nervous every time.
But then you get mad at me, and now I'm not. Now you're mad again. I mean, I think like there are things that could go wrong, of course. I mean, they have 3 good receivers. I don't know that they have any great receivers, but they've got 3 good receivers they put out there. Josh Downs looks like he could be one of the best slot receivers in the NFL in a couple years. I think if they hit on big plays, then yeah, they might win the game. And the Broncos gave up big plays against the Browns, so you couldn't be too surprised if those work out for them. And you got those big receivers. The Broncos have a small secondary outside of Pat. I guess Brandon Jones has to be 6 feet tall, but he'd be the only one outside of Pat who is. And so with those big receivers, you could get those guys jumping over him. There are things that could go wrong. Jonathan Taylor could break a long run. Again, Zach Allen went on Romy's show, shout out to that, said DJ Jones is the best run defender in the NFL, which is kind of an interesting one because I hadn't really thought of it that way. But like the Broncos' run defense is good. If people are bottling up Jonathan Taylor, it shouldn't be any different. It's Anthony Richardson. If he makes big plays, you should expect him to turn the ball over a bunch. Like the Broncos should win this game. Again, you have to go out there and actually play the game on Sunday, though, and that's where anything can happen.
That was so many cliches thrown in there.
Yeah,
that was a lot of coach speak. It's like I'm talking to
the reason they say it is because it's true. Like as much as on paper the Broncos should win this game, you still have to go win the game.
Okay, here's one for the Colts clippable Twitter moments.
Boy.
The Broncos have a better chance of beating the Colts by 17 or more points than they do losing this game. The spread is 4 points right now. Especially this defense. They were embarrassed against the Browns the last time they played. Now they have an opportunity to go out and embarrass a team. There's going to be a great opportunity for this Broncos team to get multiple pick sixes like they did against the Browns, but then not give up over 500 yards of offense in this game.
I'm not nervous.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not nervous.
Feel like I'm going crazy here.
I think it's just like, understanding the times and where we are. Like, I know we don't have a Kansas City team yet, but as people from Kansas City break down the Chiefs, they're rarely feeling like, oh, this team can beat us, like the media members.
Yeah.
And I think we just have to get in the headspace to like, we're getting pretty good. We don't have to feel like, especially bad teams can beat us.
Remember, Todd, this isn't trust ball.
We're all going to be.
This isn't trust ball.
He did call it trust ball.
It's about Sunday.
So it's Sunday ball?
Well, again, like if you trust the Broncos to be right here, you don't trust the Colts because they're up here and down here, up here. All it matters is up there or down there when it comes to game day.
The Colts really aren't up there, though. And the Broncos' highs are better than the Colts' highs, in my opinion.
True. They probably are.
And what's just wild is the Broncos, in their wins, are beating teams by 14 points, which is insane for an entire season. I still don't think this Broncos team is getting enough love nationally. But that's why we have this show, is so that we can give them the love that they deserve. Except for one guy, Brian Baldinger does give the Broncos all the credit they deserve. And let's get to him. But before we do that, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at HelloFresh, where if you want delicious, fresh, convenient food sent straight to you, that's what HelloFresh is doing. You get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered straight to your doorstep. It's America's #1 meal kit, and we love it, especially this time of year, because you got so much going on. You don't want to have to worry about food during the holidays. HelloFresh, you don't have to worry about it. It just sent straight to you. You get to make delicious recipes, including high-quality, sustainably sourced ingredients like produce that comes from farms that are fresh. I love it, especially, like I said, this time of year, and we all love it on this show, especially because they're going to give you 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/FreeBroncos. That's HelloFresh.com/FreeBroncos. Applied across 7 boxes. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals by going to HelloFresh.com/FreeBroncos. Broncos. Make sure to check them out. They're America's #1 meal kit.
Also, check out Live Well. Maybe that's what could go wrong for the Broncos.
Oh, geez.
Just big old trip to Live Well because they think they've got this one in the bag.
Or what if the Colts aren't used to having that, so they go to Live Well and it just helps the Broncos even more?
Or what if both teams are typically using it and don't this week, and that's what throws them off?
Would that be good or bad?
Who's to say? I'm not an athlete, and yeah. But yeah, I bet Live Well in general with professional athletes very popular. That's the vibe I get. I know of a couple Nuggets in particular who've got. We don't need to go down.
Why do you keep looking at Todd?
I'm not snitching.
Anything.
I'm just hinting. I'm not snitching. Yeah, I mean, Live Well's great. They've got all the award-winning products. They've got their price match guarantee. They've got every hit rings true with 35% THC or higher potency. That's with the P3 stuff. So Live Well, great. Go check it out. Mention the code DNVR25 in store. They've got 25 different locations across Colorado. You can browse, order ahead at livewell.com. You get 25% off of that DNVR25 code. So make sure you take advantage of that.
Yeah, make sure to take advantage of that. And when we wait for our guy, Baldy, Todd, what's the one thing that would concern you about this game? Because you and I kind of feel similar. We're not worried about the Colts, but, any given Sunday, the cliches that Henry was throwing out, is there one thing that can concern you?
A blizzard or a snowstorm. Like if it was just so cold and so much snow on the ground that it's just running team versus a running team, like no passer being thrown. Like that's the only time I feel like, all right, we might be in some trouble.
I have good news for you. The high is 50 degrees and partly sunny on Sunday, so absolutely no concerns. And we've got no concerns because we're going to go out and talk to our guy, Brian Baldinger, presented by our Insider Access segment powered by Verizon. Visit a Verizon store, switch to their award-winning 5G network, and get a $200 e-gift card. Baldy, let's bring him on, the man, the myth, the legend. Baldy, how's it going?
Life is good, guys. Life is good. I mean, we're in the holiday season. We're in the stretch run. I don't know. I'm in a great mood. I can't wait for tomorrow night's game and this Sunday's games. I'm ready.
Yeah, let's go, Baldy. And before we dive in, I saw on social media yesterday that you were at what you called the farm, working out. You have your own place. Where is the farm? And you said that yesterday was Flexibility Tuesday. What's today on the farm? What's Wednesday?
Well, the barn is Lane Johnson, the right tackle for the Eagles. That's his house, and he's got this barn in his backyard. He turned it into a big workout facility. So you never know who's going to be in there. It could be a UFC fighter. It could be a player that's trying to get back into the league. It could be the Herbert brothers. It could be, you never know who's going to be there. So it's not far from where I'm at NFL Film. So I get over there a couple days a week and try to pretend like I'm preserving whatever I got left in his body right now.
Man, I feel like the barn could do wonders for me. But Baldy, we've been talking about today on the show, how concerning are the Colts? Todd and I aren't worried about the Broncos playing the Colts, that we think they should take care of them. Henry has, any given Sunday, and we know that can happen. But from your perspective, how concerning should the Broncos be about the Colts, and what do the Broncos really have to watch out with for an upset there?
Well, I mean, since Anthony Richardson, was reinserted in the lineup, I mean, they're 3-2. They won against the Jets on a final drive. They scored in the final play against the Patriots last week, a 2-point conversion. Anthony Richardson made all the plays. I did his first game this year against the Houston Texans, and I don't know, the fourth, fifth play of the season, he launched literally a missile 65 yards in the air to Alec Pierce, hit him in stride. I mean, the guy's got a cannon. Sometimes he doesn't know where it's going. So he might throw two to you. He's had a couple last week. But he's a talented guy, and so is Jonathan Taylor and the offensive line, Quentin Nelson. It's a good offensive line in there. And defensively, I don't know. If you don't block Zaire Franklin, he'll make every tackle. And, they've got a good defensive front. And so they're capable, and they're coming off a bye, like you guys. So they'll be rested. Well, I guess they played last week, so you came off the bye. But, they can be dangerous. I mean, they think they can make the playoffs just like you do. And so that's what all these Sundays right now are basically entry-level playoff games. That's how they're going to play it.
I haven't had much of a chance to watch Anthony Richardson this year. I got to watch that full Patriots game, which was awesome. But I'm curious for you as somebody who gets to see more of him. Can you see improvement? Because when you just look at the numbers, it doesn't look like they're trending upward.
I can see improvement. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty close with Shane Steichen. I don't think Shane would BS me. I mean, it's just not his style. But he feels like the study habits, just the questions that he asks. You know, Joe Flacco's his backup. I've talked to Joe about him. He's a pretty quiet kid. He's pretty humble. But I'm not sure if we're going to see accuracy improvement like we've seen from Josh Allen. Like, I don't know that we're going to see that kind of jump. But we're going to see. But it's that kind of talent. It's Josh Allen type of talent. Josh Allen went from being, I don't know what he was at Wyoming, 53, 54%, wasn't very good his first year. And now he's, the leading candidate to win the MVP. So I don't know if he's going to make that kind of a jump because he just hasn't played that much football. But, just when you say that, he'll throw a stick throw in traffic and he'll hit it. But then he'll sail one 20 yards over a receiver's head. So it's just highly inconsistent right now. But you do see improvement for sure. Decision-making, some accuracy things, and then when he wants to turn the talent on, like he's basically second to none in this business.
Jonathan Taylor has been running the football really well, but I feel like the last 3 weeks he's kind of slowed down. What has been the difference in his production these last 3 weeks and kind of prior to that?
Well, I would say that nothing, like usually what you see from Jonathan Taylor when he has a big game, 100 yards plus or something close to that, he gets a big run. He'll get, a 40-yard run, and you might get a lot of 3 and 4 and 5-yard runs. But that's what's been missing is just a big run that he's, when he led the league in rushing 2 years ago, we all can remember some of those long runs that he had. That seems to be what's missing right now. But that can come at any time too, and so I wouldn't just look at the stat page because we're all guilty of it. Going, okay, yards per rush, where's the 100-yard games? You just have to look at the big runs. When he gets those, he's going to get you 100.
Baldy, when it comes to the Broncos, right before their bye week, they had quite a game against the Browns. It was electric, fireworks on both sides of the ball, and one of them was the Browns and Jameis Winston kind of having their way through the air against the Broncos defense. Kind of a two-parter here. Did that game show how important Riley Moss is since he wasn't able to play due to an injury? And then the second part is how concerning is that for the Broncos defense, or do you just kind of say that that's a one-off game for them?
Well, they got 2 pick sixes now too. So,
yeah.
You can give up 400 yards passing and you're scoring twice on defense. Deion Sanders told me a long time ago, the only good defense is a scoring defense. I mean, that's how he thought. And you saw Benito, you see, Jaquan, take him back. But, I do think it was, look, I'm not here to say anything bad about Levi Wallace. He's out there because Riley's not there. And so I think it makes a big difference. And they went after him with Judy, and they got the big plays over the top. And Riley, I think, I'm not saying he was going to shut all that down, but he's a really good player. And so I think you'll see less of that if he's in the lineup.
What would your strategy for the defense be this week? Just because Anthony Richardson is so unique, do you send extra blitzers and try to hurry him up and rush him into bad decisions? Do you leave more help back because your 3 options at cornerback are Levi Wallace, Chris Abrams-Drain, Damari Mathis, all of whom have some sort of concerns? I'm just curious what you would do in this situation.
It's a good question, and I'm trying to think of it in real time here. Like, I think you just got to mix it up, because honestly, if you try to spy Anthony Richardson, I don't care who it's with, he's going to outrun your spy. Like, I don't know if that's a good idea. I'd rather get pressure to him and speed up his decision making. And if he beats you on some runs, he beats you on some runs. But I would try to not let him get comfortable, not let his feet get set. I'd try to get him as off balance as I possibly could. So I would tend to speed it up a little bit, come off the corner, Jaquan, send my linebackers, run my twist. Benito can beat either tackle out there right now. He seems to come more from the right side. So I would say, I'd send my guys, Zach and Benito and my guys, but I might speed it up a little bit by sending one of my backers.
Baldy, I want to talk to you about our offensive line. We know they've been doing a good job protecting the quarterback, and the number one offensive line as far as pass blocking is concerned. Do they need to have a special game plan for guys like Buckner and Lot 2, or can they go out there and go mano-a-mano and try to find a way to win the game?
I think, honestly, a big part of their success in all phases is they've just run a lot less pre-snap motion. Because, everybody that runs that, we all talk about it, we like it, except, every time you move, the defense moves. And I feel like they've kind of cut back on some of it, not all of it, but some of it. And I feel like assignment-wise, they're much better. And so they've been very good in protection, but the tight ends and the backs have been a big part of it. And then Bo's mobility has been a big part of it. All that stuff is good. But I think, in the run game right now, I think Buckner is an outstanding 3 technique. Latu has the ability, just like he did at UCLA. He's got a variety of moves. So Garrett's going to get tested. He's going to get tested out there. He's going to see cross chop. He's going to see speed to power. He'll see a spin. He's a very, very adroit rusher. But so is Kwity Paye. They've got 5 or 6 guys that were drafted at the top, first or second round that also are very, very good. So, I think the whole group is pretty good. Last year, I think they finished 3rd or 4th in sacks a year ago. So they have a bunch of guys there that all are capable of winning one-on-ones.
Baldy, I got to ask you about Bo Nix. And when the Broncos drafted Bo Nix, there were some people that threw out, oh, maybe he can be the next Drew Brees. And, of course, a lot of people rolled their eyes to that. But now that Bo has played so well, just his first year with Sean, his first year in the NFL, do you actually see similarities between Bo and maybe, or between Drew and maybe what Bo can become, and it's not maybe as crazy anymore?
Well, if you think about the history of Drew Brees, he was drafted by San Diego, and they gave up on him in San Diego. He got hurt, gave up on him, went to Phillip Rivers. I remember doing a game out there when they started. They benched Drew Brees, and Drew Brees became really Drew Brees. He was still good. Don't get me wrong. He was good in San Diego, but he became Drew Brees with Sean Payton. We were on here the first 2 weeks of the season. He couldn't complete a pass to a wide receiver the first 2 weeks of the season. Cortland Sutton was he didn't know where the ball was going. And now you look at what he's doing with Cortland or any of these receivers, Devon, whoever it is. You see rapid development. The one thing about Drew Brees, and I don't know this about Bo, but Drew Brees could do every part of the offense. If it was a check with me, he knew when to go to a run and what run to go to. If it was to get out of a run because of a bad look in front, he knew what pass to get to. That only comes with time, that at the line of scrimmage type thing. Sean can really help him through that right now. So I don't know where he's at in that development. I can't tell from where I'm at and without being in any of those meetings. But I remember talking to offensive line coaches in New Orleans, and they would tell me just how involved Drew was. So I would say that he's on a good arc. It's hard to predict Hall of Fame because Drew Brees was so healthy for so long and really avoided the injury thing. And he didn't run the way Bo Nix runs. So that sort of helped him. But you see incredible development. And he's in that discussion right now for the Offensive Rookie of the Year. You just have to include him. And if he finishes these last 4 weeks, the way we've seen the last 4 weeks, he might very well get that award. But I'm not going to predict Hall of Fame status for him, but the development is dramatic.
I'm curious if there's anything about Bo that has surprised you now that we have seen, 3/4 of a season from him.
I would say just even when things weren't going great, and they were all, they were 3 and outs and all those, the guy played with a lot of poise. You don't see, if I said, okay, Zach Wilson is there, as, I don't know, 3rd-team quarterback. I watched Zach Wilson in New York every single week, and he played literally helter-skelter football. Now, the protection wasn't great, and there was breakdowns and all that, but you just don't see that style from him, where it's just panic mode and he sees color coming at him and he just like you see like a real poise and good decision making from him throughout. And now you're seeing tremendous, like the touchdown in the last game to Cortland Sutton. He's got to drop that ball in with touch. You know, in the end, like you're seeing the ball with touch. You've seen him layering some footballs right now. And he obviously sees the field very, very well. All those things impress me.
You know, Baldy, last question for me for you. We've been talking about the playoffs a lot and making the playoff push and talking about a couple of different teams that are out there that the Broncos could potentially play. Is there anybody that you feel like the Broncos match up well with, whether it be the Chiefs, the Bills, the Steelers, or the Texans, that they could potentially play in the first round?
Well, I mean, you're fighting the Chargers right now, and you're going to see the Chargers. I think you actually match up well with the Chargers because the Chargers just aren't an explosive team.
Yeah.
So they're not going to score a lot of points. Now, defensively, they played really well. But, you know, I would love, you know, I'd love to see a game. We just watched Joe Burrow, you know, play one perfect game after another. We just watched him on Monday night. Like, I'd love to see Joe Burrow against your defense. I'd love to see Patrick Surtain and Jamar Chase go at it. Like, just from a fan standpoint and, you know, from a standpoint of being an analyst, those are the type of matchups that you would love to see out there in the perimeter. And I know Patrick would love that challenge. Like we've seen it against Brock Bowers and different players, Garrett Wilson, different guys this year, and in the past, Devontae, whatever. But that would excite me right now.
Man, I think that would excite Pat and Broncos Country because the last time those two teams played, Baldy, Pat held Jamar Chase to 1 catch for 9 yards. And so my last question for you is, in order to get to the playoffs, Broncos have 4 more games. They play the Colts this weekend, on the road against the Chargers, on the road against the Bengals, and then at home against the Chiefs, who might be sitting their players that game potentially. I want to ask you, what do you think the Broncos' record in these final 4 games is going to be? Are they going to be able to get the job done?
I'm not betting against them. I'm going to see the Chargers this weekend against Tampa out in L.A., so I'm announcing that game. So I'm really excited to see them live and up. Like, because it looks like they have no passing game without Ladd McConkey, you know, and he's their go-to guy. And, you know, he's really, really good. He's really a great route runner. But it looks like they just don't have, you know, with, you know, J.K. out, like they lost a lot of firepower. Then I don't know what McConkey's status is, but I like the Broncos this weekend. I like them against the Chargers. Cincinnati's fighting for their lives. And so, like, I feel like they've got 3 wins. Which I don't know what is that? What's that get them? That gets them to
11.
11 wins. Like that should get you in, right?
Yep.
So they get 11, they're gonna be in the playoffs. If they get 10, they're probably tiebreakers are probably going to come into play right now, just because of some of the teams that they're going against. So like I like their chances. They look like a playoff team to me. Defensively, they've been very good all year. You got to play great defense to be in the playoffs. We've seen the development from the offense. The run game is starting to come on slowly. You know, they need that. They look like one of those 6th or 7th seeded teams in the playoffs to me right now. But they got to go do it. So I feel like they are a playoff team the way that they've developed, and I'd be surprised if they're not.
Well, I'll tell you, you just made Broncos Country's day right there, Baldy. Baldy's Broncos breakdowns are the best. Thank you, Baldy. Have a great weekend, and look forward to talking to you about the Chargers after you watch them this week.
I look forward to telling you what I see all the way. Thank you, guys.
Right on. Thanks, Baldy. Man, Broncos are a playoff team. He said it. 3-1 down the stretch at least. That will guarantee them a spot in the playoffs. I want to ask you guys what you think the Broncos record over these final 4 games is going to be after I give a shout out to our friends over at Saturday Neon. Saturday Neon. I mean, if you've got an office, if you've got a man cave, if you've got a living room that you want to spice up a little bit, Saturday Neon is the spot to do it. And they're going to give you 10% off by using the code DNVR over at SaturdayNeon.com. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, they've got the coolest neon signs out there. You've probably seen them in really cool man caves. You've seen them in bars. We actually have a couple down in the DNVR bar. And one of the cool things about them, you can do custom signs, but you can also get signs for your college, a college that you cheer for. They partner with over 50 of the biggest schools across the country, and they're only $75 for their college collection. So make sure to check them out. Their LED lights last over 100,000 hours, so you'll be able to enjoy your sign for years to come. How many years would that be of just leaving it on?
Hours in a year, I don't know.
Many.
Yeah, I don't know
do
either.
some math
Many
on my brain.
hours
Yeah.
in a year it'll last for. So check them out over at SaturdayNeon.com. Use that code DNVR for 10% off.
Perfect.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh!
yeah.
So we're talking about 12 years of straight non-turning it off.
And if you're planning on doing that, just hanging out, seeing how many years you sit there and watch your sign go before it dies, maybe get some Breckenridge Distillery. It'll make those years pass so much quicker. If you sit there with a nice Breckenridge bourbon whiskey, which is actually the official bourbon and vodka of the Denver Broncos. You can look for their 2024 Broncos bourbon blends. They'll hit the shelves starting in August, so they've been out. Maybe update this one. Breckenridge Distillery is the world's highest distillery.
I
founded
update
in
what I'm
2008.
given.
Not you. I know it's not you. Founded in 2008, they're most widely known for their blended bourbon whiskey, a high rye mash with American-style whiskey. Breckenridge Bourbon is one of the most highly awarded craft bourbons in the U.S. Breckenridge Distillery is more than just an award-winning spirits. It offers immersive guest experience. So you can head on up there, check out their restaurant, their cocktails, all that sort of stuff. Go for a tasting. Go look at their active production facility. Plus, you can also enter to win 2 tickets to Denver Broncos games in the Breckenridge Bourbon Whiskey Suite. Share how you celebrate the Broncos by posting your photos to social media using hashtag Broncos Bourbon. Also use code DNVR at checkout for free shipping on all orders over $99. Learn more at BreckenridgeDistillery.com.
Hank, you kind of smiled during that ad read, which was good because the Toyota chat was worried about you. We have multiple comments coming in about just wanting you to be happy. Angel T said, will a Broncos or a Chiefs win will make Hank smile.
Broncos.
Cody said, let's scroll up a little bit. We got, he says, cheer up, Hank. We got
Am I not
Alex saying,
cheerful?
cheer up, Hanker. And then one more a little bit further up.
Wow.
No other way up. That Angel T says, Hank, smile, buddy. You okay, Henry?
I feel like I've been cheerful. Have I not been cheerful?
Nah, I wouldn't call you a jolly man.
I wouldn't say like in general I'm cheerful. I wouldn't say I'm any less cheerful than normal today.
Hey, the Toyota chat just checking on you. Just wanted to make
Wow.
sure. I see that smile right now. You got the smirk on your
Maybe it's
face. You can't
coming.
wipe it off.
You know, when I
There
said
we
jolly, kind of like I thought of like Santa Claus.
Of course.
I think you look like a young Santa Claus.
Thank
Wow.
Like
I
if
actually
Santa
like
Claus
that.
was 23, like we never have
Wow.
seen a young Santa. Like
No.
no gray, just face and beard.
That was a way
Wow.
to make him smile. That
Because
was a good job,
sometimes you
Todd.
wonder, like,
Yeah.
I wonder where my life will go. Like I was telling Lexi that, like, when I'm like in my mid 60s, I'll probably just
Your
like.
job is already, you
Yeah.
already have a job.
I was thinking I'll just like live up in the woods and like I'd probably like hunt and catch my own food and gather berries and just kind of just be off in the woods by myself. But again, there's just one
Wow.
little piece of that seems. I think you figured it out.
Yeah.
It'll be like, what's that movie where Santa Claus falls off the roof? Sorry about the spoiler. Luckily, it's in the first like 10 minutes.
With Hank, what's his name?
That's
Tim
me.
Allen. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that just called Santa Claus?
Might be. The Santa Claus.
The Santa Claus. Yeah.
The
Maybe
Santa
it'll be that.
Claus.
Yeah.
Maybe you are the
I'll
Santa
just put a little
Claus.
trap on my roof.
Wow.
I guess he doesn't really come unless you have kids, right? That's a ways down the line. I've got plenty of years
No, you
before
can
I'm
be
Santa.
naughty or nice without kids, right? You yourself can be.
You can get Santa? Yeah, I think
right?
so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't
of
have to-
course.
It's
Wow.
not just for kids.
Yeah.
We might need to make before Christmas. We should make a naughty and nice list.
Make
it can be open-ended. Bo Nix nice. Patrick Mahomes naughty. There's kind of our starting point. And
So
we'll
just all the Broncos on the nice list and all the Broncos opponents on
no,
the naughty list.
not necessarily.
Oh,
We can
wow.
take it wherever you want. Who's that? Greg Rosenthal said that Bo Nix isn't a top 5 Rookie of the Year candidate.
Naughty.
Yeah.
Naughty list.
Very naughty.
Lump of coal.
Yeah. Start thinking about it.
naughty
We should do this
boy,
next
Greg.
week.
We
Yaya?
also have Yaya.
Naughty or
I
nice?
don't know. He been gone for a
It
long time. He was
That's
probably being
true.
naughty.
We've got 2 Jose's tuning in the Toyota chat as well. So shout out to multiple Jose's. We really appreciate everyone that's tuning in. And if you're tuning in, hit us with a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. Helps us out a ton. Wow. And speaking of the Jose dropping a former Bronco on the naughty list.
dang.
It's Greg Dulcich for the podcast listeners.
Yeah, I wasn't going to out Greg like
No, I
that.
think
but
it's a good
wow, and
conversation.
then Mile High Sign just hits him with
What do-
something even more
Sing.
intense.
Once again, sing.
Sing.
Yes. What do we think of Roger Goodell? Because he always
Wow.
gets booed, but are we naughty or nice for this year?
He did take a picture with us, so
He did.
that kind of even though we asked him to take a picture of us, and then he took a picture with us.
You're
Is
lucky
that
you weren't
what
there,
happened?
Todd.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were. We
RK's
yeah. Oh
idea.
yeah. Ryan and I just absolutely mortified Henry and Allie. We were at what's
St.
it called?
Elmo's?
Yeah, St. Elmo's in Indianapolis, a nice seafood steakhouse. And Roger Goodell walks by us to go to a private party downstairs, and the only way for him to get it back out is to walk right by our table. So Ryan and I are like, okay, when he walks by, let's see how he reacts when we ask him to take a picture of
Oh,
us.
wow.
And so when he walked by, Ryan asked him to take a picture of us,
And
and he gets in the picture and has one of the people that he's with take a picture because
DeMaurice Smith.
I'm sure he's never
Or I think
asked.
I said right. He was
Yeah.
the head of the NFLPA at the time.
Yeah, I'm sure
Also
he's never.
overqualified to be taking pictures of us.
I'm sure he's always wanted to be taken a picture with, so he was just used to that. So he jumped in the photo with us.
Wow.
And Allie hid in the picture, and Hank just has the most uncomfortable smile on
Yeah.
his face. And
'Cause
then-
I was uncomfortable.
And then Ryan Green, me and Ryan Koningsberg, we're all just very happy.
Well, the worst part was when Roger started to come over and Ryan said, no, of us. And then me and Allie was like, Ryan, Ryan. Yeah.
So yeah, that's our
That
Roger
was-
Goodell
so wait, he was
story
hanging out with the head of the NFLPA?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was like a big retirement party.
for someone else.
I
That
think-
feels like, what's the word
Collusion?
for it? Yeah.
Yeah.
They should be on opposite sides of the
I
table.
think it's
They
one
should
of
be, like, screaming and yelling at each other.
It's like, wow, I don't know what it's like. But like sometimes you have to like meet with the enemy and like build the relationship. Because at some point you got to make a deal with the guy, you know?
Keep your enemies close.
Yeah.
Your friends
and-
close, enemies closer.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. So that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
With a little St. Elmo's cocktail shrimp and maybe some cocktails as well. Before we get out of here, want to hit our super chats. First one coming in from Mile High Sing. Hear how I said that, Henry? Says,
Yeah,
Bo going
right way.
off this game. 3 touchdowns. Mark it. LFB. I love that, Mile High Sing.
Yeah.
TD007 says, yo, Todd, is it time for your guy Penix to start?
Why not? I mean, it's not much that the starter is doing. I mean, give him a chance. Your season's going down the drain anyway. You might as well see what he can do this year because you never know what you're going to have to do next year. Kirk Cousins might have to get shipped out of there.
That's the thing, though, is that their season is kind of going down the drain, but they're in the NFC South. So they're still only a game behind the Bucks.
Yep.
But
I still think it's Penix, but it's just so hard to bench a guy like Kirk Cousins when you're right there.
not when he's playing. So past 3 games, 0 touchdowns, 8 interceptions.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is easy.
Yeah.
You put Penix in, and but I mean, they're not going to because that's like the crazy bold move to do, even though it shouldn't be that crazy. But it's just anything that seems crazy, coaches typically push back on. They're like, no, let's just go That's why Sean Payton cutting Russell Wilson was such an unusual move because it's just not what 95% of NFL teams would do. But he had the courage to do it and did it. Ivan Cruz says, Hank, we need Montana in the Mountain West.
I'm so conflicted. Because it's one of those things where if everything stays the same in college football, I would hate it because I have no interest in going to like one of those meaningless conferences where you go and it's like, yeah, congrats, you won a Mountain West title. Go play in the Las Vegas Bowl or whatever. Because at least like at Montana, you get to go play in like a tournament. Like you get to go contend to be a national champion. The thing that scares me though is that you could split. Like you could actually see like the Power 5 move and there's like a separate championship for like the group of 5 teams. And then in that case, you definitely want to be in that group. So you're kind of just gambling, I think, on what comes in the future.
If they split, they need to take the whole FCS into the group of 5.
I kind of, or at least like the top half, because you still have like, as the Ivy League doesn't play in the postseason, like the HBCUs don't.
Wrong with the HBCUs.
But nothing's wrong with them except they're not always great at football. But like Drake and that whole conference, they don't give out scholarships. Like you can leave them behind.
Mm-hmm.
But
Wow.
like Missouri Valley, Big Sky, That might honestly be it. Like, you could bump them up and kind of fill out that second level.
Really quick, what do you guys think of NIT tournament for college football?
It looks awesome. Like, it's super stupid in basketball because, well, first of all, players don't always play in it, which might actually happen in the college football version too. But the other thing about the NIT is that the top 64 go to the March Madness. And so you're left with kind of scummy schools.
Do you like it for college football?
Because it's 13 through 24.
Yeah,
which
I
is
agree.
an awesome group. Like, that tournament would be awesome.
I would love it. Just like I've loved this show. Maybe we'll give our record predictions tomorrow since we got it from Baldy. We'll end on that note, and we'll be back for our final Broncos score predictions. I'm curious if Henry has the Broncos winning or losing. We'll find out tomorrow.
It's a win.
10 a.m.
We all silly like the mayor.